Hey, what is up, guys? This is Maestro here, coming at you with some Paladins gameplay and a few points on what I've experienced so far with the game. So, first of all, I'm going to start splitting it off into two sections, gameplay and crafting. So, I start with the gameplay. There are several different game modes. There's survival, which is kind of like a search and destroy type thing, round based. There's capture, where you just capture points on a map to get first one to five wins. There's capture and siege, where you have to capture the points and then you spawn a turret that will go and attack their base. You have two gates and then their vault. Once you destroy the vault, you win. And then there's payload, which is a kind of a crate that you move as you stand closer to it, and you got to get it through certain tech points to continue the game. Some things that I've noticed so far with the game modes that the game length depends very heavily on said game modes. Like I've noticed with survival and capture especially, you'll end your games 10 to 12 minutes. So about payload can be just as quick, especially if you don't get the payload moving to the checkpoints. And then capture and siege I think is the longest one because you have to spawn the turret, get the turret there, protect the turret, attack the gates, and there's a lot of things going on with that. So another thing I want to talk about is champions. They are called champions. I always get that mixed up, League of Legends and whatnot, but they are called champions, and they have a very strong champion diversity, especially when you look at their voice actors, their kits, especially the kits are very well done. I would say so, and I think that because the game is still very early on, the balancing is going to be very weird, which I'll get into later. But one thing is that they also have a bit of a Hearthstone aspect to the game. There are cards that you unlock as you play, and there's different kinds of cards. But I'll explain that later as well. But the cards you get, you upgrade as you level up in game. You level up as you contest objectives, get kills. Play the game. You level up, and you can put points into those cards to increase your benefits from said cards. One thing that I do like about the card system is that you can customize your loadouts depending on, especially what you're looking for in certain comps and certain objective-based things, that kind of thing. I do want to point out the game's verticality, which I think it's been a big every game has been leaning toward that now, especially in the new first-person shooters. Verticality is very big, and there's certain parts of the map that you can get to if you're a certain character, and it makes the game easier to do. One thing I do want to talk about is quick chat, which I think can be very effective if done right, but it's also very hard to learn when you're first starting. There's a lot of different quick chat commands and everything that adds on to each other. Um, Continuing, I'm going to talk about strategy. I feel like this game can be very, very good when you think about strategy, because there's different builds, different comps, different champions you can do, and the game's constantly being updated and patched, so it changes as you go. But you can definitely get different strategies going and work with. If you get a five-man group, there are certain things you can do where you can have siege comps where you basically just have three tanks standing on a point while everyone else DPS is around them, or there's survival ones where you're looking for the highest amount of burst you can find on a character on a comp, which I think is really cool. One thing that I might spend a little bit more time on is balancing. Um, a lot of people, as they're going through the forums and on Reddit, there are some things like this gameplay here is a gameplay of me playing Pip, who is a huge AoE damage dealer. Um, he and other champions have very strong kits. With Pip, his ultimate turn into a chicken, which is the most adorable thing on the planet. Turn everyone to a chicken. Um, and that the cooldown on it can be decreased based on you doing damage. So the more damage you do, the lower the cooldown will end up. And which is nice and all, which is cool. It can be kind of OP when you're constantly being able to proc your ult. Same thing goes for someone like Sky, who is an invisible assassin. She can show up out of nowhere and start bursting you down, or if you're contesting objective, she can show up out of nowhere, place a time bomb down that does 2k damage. If you're one of the squishies like Cassie, Pip, or Eevee, you're going to die right away. There's just no stopping that. And I think as the game goes, they're going to balance it better, but when you have very limited kits, you have to find power somewhere. And I think right now with the game state that it's in, it's going to be leaning toward making everyone OP so that no one's OP kind of thing. Instead of nerfing everyone to the ground and then, trying to work them back up to a balanced state. If they make everyone OP, then no one's OP kind of thing. Like Grover especially. Oh, that's something I'll get into another time. But one thing that I do want to spend a lot of time on is crafting, which I think is one of the coolest aspects of it. So, Going into more detail on the cards and what are they? The cards are what you increase in your loadout. So you have your common decks and you have your champion decks. You put your cards into your common decks. You have three of those. You can customize. You can use different ones. And those common decks will give you certain stats depending on the character you're playing. Some will give you increased health. Other ones will give you increased damage, increased movement speed, that kind of thing. With the champion decks, there are cards that are very specific to the champion you're using. So in this Pip gameplay, I believe I have Acid Cloud. Yes. So one of my abilities is an AoE bomb, like a larger AoE bomb that's not his normal auto attacks, that will also leave a poison cloud behind. So as the game's progressing, I can put points into that card to make the damage higher. And it's going to be the same for every character. You know, they have different cards based on what's needed in their loadout, which I think is really cool because then those cards can be used to increase your damage, increase your health. If you're going for a tanky like Fernando, who is just the beefiest person on the planet, you want extra health. You want extra, reduction of CC, tenacity, that kind of thing. You want those benefits so you can continue to be a tank. And you can get those from your common decks and your champion decks. Now, how do you get said cards? You can get them through your loot chests. And the loot chests, you either get them from common chests or you get them from radiant chests. Your common chest will always give you common deck cards. And you can get, I think right now there's 21, and the next patch was that they're adding more. But then from the radiant chests, you can get champion-based cards and also common cards. And with there being so few cards currently in the game, when you get cards that you already have, they're turned into what they call craft points, but I call them hammer coins. You get these hammer coins that can be used to craft the other types of cards. And crafting the cards, you get either the common cards, which cost 2 of the hammer points, and then you go to your champion cards, where you can do either a common card, or an uncommon champion card, which is a green card, a rare champion card, which is blue, an epic champion card, which is a purple, and then a legendary, which is an orange. And being able to do that, you can get certain ones. Like right now, what I'm working on with Pip, I'm going to consider myself a Pip main for now. What I'm going to do with Pip is I want to get the Graviton, which increases AoE damage, not AoE, his AoE range. And I also want to get some of the other legendary cards that he has. There's 3 legendary cards I think each character has, and you can only have 1 legendary card per loadout. So when you're loading up into a game, you pick your common deck, you pick your champion deck, and then you can, weapon skins, mount skins, that kind of stuff. And that will drastically change how you play the game. One thing I do want to talk about is the pro aspect of the game. I think, especially since it's still early on in beta, it's been out in beta for, 3 months now, since November, so 4. It's been out in beta for 4 months now, and I think it has a lot of potential to be a competitive game. It's very similar to Smite in a lot of ways, in terms of objective-based gameplay. I think it's all objective-based gameplay at this point, except for survival. But I think if it goes into a competitive level, it'll be all objective-based, whether it's capture and siege, or if it's just payload. Yeah, that's what it's called, payload. And I think if it continues to go that way, it'll be a great game, it'll be a fun game, and it'll be a game that can get really, really competitive into the scene. Because I know, Overwatch is a good a comparison to it. They're very similar, and I think they both have their own characteristics that will make them not better, but different and more enjoyable in some ways. Kind of goes back to the whole, League and Dota type thing. Dota and League are 2 very similar games, but they're also very different. One is not better than the other. So that's all I had to say about the game. I'm going to let the gameplay finish out. It was a good gameplay. I played very well that game. I think I went 7 killing spree at one point, 8 killing spree, don't remember. But it's very good gameplay. I think I played very well in it, and it's just a good way for you to see what the game really looks like. I think especially the environments. The environments are beautiful. But thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Anyway, thanks again so much for watching, guys. I'm going to be playing this game a lot now. I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys get a chance to play too. Speaking of which, I'm going to be streaming this game a lot this week, and further on down the line as beta goes on. And I'm going to be giving away some beta keys as well too. So if you want to, you can check out my Twitch. I'll post in the description down below. And I'll also add an annotation to go to the website if you're interested in getting the Founders Pack, which gives you a lot of cool stuff. And it's a really fun game, like I said, and can't wait to play with you guys. So see you next time.